It's hard to tell, but like maybe instead of saying about feature, I will tell about the concept. So from the very beginning, like when we were building Vue Storefront, we're also thinking about abstracting it away from the e-commerce platforms in a sense that, no matter what you are using, so using Magento, Salesforce, Shopify, WooCommerce, whatever, you're basically having more or less the same Vue Storefront. So this is a concept that obviously evolved. At the beginning, we were like fully agnostic. So the front end, it was the same no matter what you had on the back end, the same, to the degree that we haven't changed, you were not changing even a single line of code, right? At least on the front end side. Then it slightly evolved. We called it, agnostic enough, when we had more or less the same function names and the general flow, but the nuances were different. And right now we moved from that to actually deciding, okay, so let's have the general way of solving problem more or less the same across platforms. Let's have the same technological stack, the same architecture, etc. But leave everything else up to the platform, because these days they are so different that generalizing them is actually bad if you're having more sophisticated use cases, because it's usually cutting them off. Like if something is not standard, then it's hard to agnosticize that. And I really love this concept, because imagine that you're an agency, right? And you're an agency that is working with 3 or 4 different platforms. And for each of those platforms, you have to hire, backend developers, you have to hire front-end developers. And let's say that, you're having those 3 or 4 platforms and your Magento department is not going very good right now, and what should you do? Should you fire people or what? And the other department, let's say Shopware department, is going very well, and you're having issues with people because you need to hire more of them because you're having a lot of projects. There's no one who can do them. So with Vue Storefront, actually, what you could do is, these are a very similar projects on almost the same technology, on the same technological stack, with almost the same, way of doing things, with the same architecture. So it's super straightforward to just move developer from one project to another. And another thing is that, what I really love is the fact that because we are for everyone, there's this huge collaborative effort between different platforms, like, people who contribute to, people who are using Shopify, they're still contributing to the same core of Vue Storefront, and people who are using Magento, they're also getting those things. So everyone, they're bringing their own use cases, everyone are bringing their own expertise from really different backgrounds and contribute this expertise back to the product. And then everyone can benefit from this. And I think this is great, because there is a lot of silos in generally the dev space, where some are better, some are worse, and everyone are contributing their own silos. I think we see this very much with front-end frameworks, but not only. We have communities that are very much developed, and everything can be done with this, but people are contributing just to this community, not to the front-end frameworks as a whole. Of course, like, on the very high level they are, because the concepts are being borrowed, etc. But what I mean is to have this on a more granular level, like when direct contributions to one thing are also benefiting others. And I think this is something we have, and this is something we would like to keep, because, this is amazing.